Everybody. Yes, live event. I've actually never done a spontaneous one without having it first on the calendar and announcing it. So this is a first for me. And I want to talk about numbers and their meanings. So in feng shui, we look at a person's house number to decipher what type of energy that house will carry, what type of blessings and sometimes burden will that house bring forward. So every number has a frequency, it has a type of vibration. So let's go through the numbers. So, first of all, the way you break down a house number is you take all the numbers of a home. So, for example, if you live in a house that's 1401, let's say you're an apartment or condo is 1401, you would add the numbers together by counting 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 0 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So then your house number is a 6. Okay. So if you live, like my home is 24 Double Brook. So then I would count 2 plus 4, and that is a 6. If you live in a house that's 81 Flora Drive, then that's an 8 plus 1 is a 9. So we want to we want to add the numbers up until we get a single digit. That's how we determine what number our home is. So let's say you're living in a house that's 6767, right? So we add 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 6 is 19, plus 7 is 26, then 2 plus 6 is 8. So your house number would be an 8. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's go through the numbers real quick. So number 1, so the energy, if you are living in a number 1 home, the energy of a number 1 home is all about being a leader. The blessing is you get to be a leader, you get to be the first at things. It's the beginning of a chapter, it's a fresh cycle that awaits you. 1 is number 1. Now, sometimes the burden or the opportunity for growth is that number 1 can present a challenge of feeling lonely, alone. Maybe you don't have enough support. So, the opportunity of living in number 1 is to strengthen your muscle, your asking for help muscle. So, number 2, if you live in a home that is number 2 carries the frequency of partnership, togetherness, harmony, friendship, love, union, the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine, integrated from within. So, making friends with both the feminine and the masculine aspects of self, and also inviting in love and partnership and learning how to be together, how to co create, how to live a life of mutuality and support with another person. So, what are the drawbacks of a number 2? Well, when it's in its extreme form, if it's in out of balance, a number 2 can present opportunities with learning how to break patterns of codependency, relying too much on another person, um, not really focusing on your own needs and your own self care, and making it all about the other person's needs and self care. So let's move on. A number 3 house. Number 3 in feng shui is all about creativity and children. Number 3 homes carry the blessing and the vibration of creativity, art, painting, music, developing a deeper bond with your inner child, healing your relationship between you and your inner child, having relationships with children, your own children. It brings the blessings of playfulness, joy, spontaneity. It brings in a lot of levity and whimsical experiences, keeping things light and easy. Okay. So, what could be the downfall or the burden or the opportunity for growth with the number 3? A number 3 can sometimes feel like there's always this third thing that's keeping you distracted from what you're wanting to do. So let's say you're in a marriage and things aren't going well, or there's a communication breakdown. Sometimes the number 3, there's a tendency to triangulate a third thing, like another hobby, or like working too much. Sometimes people triangulate in affairs. All of this is done to reduce the anxiety that's being caused by the friction inside of the relationship. And number 3 house can also bring in an avoidance of what you're feeling in the moment, But the opportunity of the number three house is to work through your need to escape and to drop more fully into using that energy to create, to sublimate the anxiety into a positive creation. Okay. So a number four house is all about family, foundation. It's about really setting up, the foundation, the structure, having your connection to the root. It's the first layer of the house. So without a foundation, it's really hard to build anything. Anything you build without having that foundation can feel like quicksand. So number four is all about focus on family, healing from family generational trauma. The number four is on, it's like imagine four legs of a table. It's support, it's strength, it's about organizing yourself and having all your basic needs in life met. It brings all those blessings. So if you're moving into a four house and you're single and you don't have a partner, there could be an opportunity to create a family. It doesn't have to be a biological family or an immediate family. It could be a soul family, having those supporters, those supportive people around you. Now, what could be the drawbacks of number four? Sometimes number fours could feel like a lot of work, like you have to work through deep-seated patterns, karma, healing through long-standing issues. This is a blessing and it is a burden, but having the support there will help you get through those difficult, challenging times of looking into the past with the eyes of love and compassion. Support is so necessary for that journey of healing our childhood. And that is the blessing of the number four house, is that it gives you that support that you need. So continuing on, we're getting a little shaky here. Okay. So the number five. The number five in feng shui is all about travel. It's all about spiritual help and travel. So I remember I lived for how many years was it? 5 years. I lived for 5 years in a number five condo in Miami Beach. It was probably the most exciting time of my life. I had something, there was never a dull moment, but it was also a tumultuous time because it was hard to settle in on anything. I was very innovative, but I kept starting new projects and activities. It was hard to bring things down to earth and ground them and root them. So it was a time of innovation, but keeping things stable and steady, it was difficult. And there was a lot of adventure, a lot of excitement, a lot of new relationships that came in, which were beautiful, but it also brought in some tumult, some chaos. And that is the burden, that is the challenge of the number five, is not to get too lost in the storm of excitement and adventure and novelty, to find your way to, take those inspired, um, those, ins- those inspired thoughts and actions and bring them down to earth and create something that will produce residuals that will, have longevity for you. When I say residuals, I mean income. Because sometimes living in number five can feel like you're constantly, putting out a fire, or you're on to the next person, the next partnership, the next adventure. It's an exciting number. It's not a great number for long-term living. Okay. So number six house. Number six is all about healing. I'm moving in a number six house now. The last time I was in a number six house was in 2012. It is a deep dive into physical, emotional healing, mental healing, spiritual healing. I just had a baby, so I know all about learning how to self-care, taking my self-care to the next level. And sometimes the challenge with the number six house can be an over focus on health and healing. Although I don't really believe there's really ever such a thing. I think the more you feed your health and healing, the more energy you will have that will be produced for every other area of your life. But sometimes the number six can be, working through deep, issues, chronic health issues. That can happen in a number six house where you're finally, your health is finally caught up to you and you're forced to really look at yourself, slow down, and take care of those areas that you've neglected for a long time. So it's not a burden, but it can be, time that's needed to spend just solely and exclusively on getting better and healing yourself. So number seven house in feng shui is all about wisdom. So wisdom is all about learning, mastery of knowledge, becoming a master at something, education. I don't know if there's a drawback to a number 8 house except for, you get stuck, number 7 house, except for you getting your nose stuck in the books and not leaving your home and becoming a hermit. That's the only thing I can imagine that could be a drawback, or, why would that be a challenge for anybody, that you can get so sucked into your studies that you lose your balance, you lose your harmony, and you don't spend enough time in more extroverted yang activities like being around people. So let's talk about number 8 house. 8 homes are all about abundance and prosperity. Um, at the highest level, it's about changing your mindset into an abundance mindset, feeling like you're deserving of all the prosperity that the universe wants to deliver to you, feeling like you are deserving of love, feeling like you're deserving of all abundance, not just financial, but really it is about being able to make a living from what you love to do. And if you're not in a job that you love, finding a way into a career that you do love. Okay. And a number 9 house is all about, what is a number 9 house? Oh, a number 9 is all about completion. It's all about the end of a cycle. Number 9 includes every number. So it's about fully experiencing all aspects. So you get to experience every number when you live in a number 9 house. You get a little bit of everything. But it is really the end of a chapter, the end of a cycle. It's about transformation and moving into a new life cycle. So those are a little bit of a snippet into homes, numbers, and their meanings, and what a home and its number, what energy it might bring to you. So when you're looking for homes, factor that into the equation. There's lots of things to factor in, but I like to look at the number because it tells me a lot about the energy that that home is going to bring me. For example, I will not live in a number 1 home. I won't live, in a lonely house, at least not right now. I don't want that in my life, because that could, even if you have family and people surrounding you, you could feel lonely inside of a number 1 house. And I just choose not to live in a number 1 house. That doesn't mean if you're living in one, it's a bad thing, because you might be like in your 20s, in your 30s, and this is your time to, build your empire, to really set the stage for, moving into your full expression of whatever natural gifts and talents that you're here to express and share with the world. And you don't want to really get into a relationship. You just want to cultivate your own gifts and your own career. And it's a good time to be in a number 1 house. There's no bad numbers, but these are numbers and their meanings. I hope you enjoyed this. Signing off. Talk to you soon. Much love. Oh, and one last thing. If you haven't bought your copy already, Feng Shui, this is my new book that I just came out with. Feng Shui, Change Your Room, Change Your Life. This is a book for young adults. It's really for anybody, because we all have a young adult inside of us. All right, much love.